guaranteed universal income. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so it's a very old idea. The idea is that
as old as Sir Thomas More, I have read.
Yeah, no, it goes back even before the founding of the country. So it's an idea where every citizen of a society gets a certain amount of money or resources free and clear to do whatever you want to meet your basic
regardless
needs.
of your income.
Regardless of your income. So Thomas Paine called it the citizen's dividend and was for it at the founding of the country. Martin Luther King called it a guaranteed minimum income in the 60s. Milton Friedman called it a negative income tax and had the support of 1,000 economists in the 70s. And it even
Richard Nixon seriously considered it.
Yeah, it passed
and it was
the
debated
House
in Congress.
No, it passed the House of Representatives twice in 1971 under Nixon. And one state has actually passed something virtually identical, which is the petroleum dividend of Alaska. Where everyone in that state gets between $1,000 and $2,000 a year, no questions asked. Doesn't matter, you're working, not working, income doesn't matter. And in Alaska, it has created thousands of jobs. It's improved children's health. It's decreased income inequality, and it's wildly popular in a very conservative state.
Everyone, it's me, Demetra Kay, and I am sitting here with Donovan. His heart don't pump no Kool-Aid Sadiq. And this is the second edition of Yes, Give Me My Coffee, because yours is just like black and strong. I mean, I like it black and strong too, but not that black and strong. So anyway, this is the second edition of Don't Believe the Hype, where we ask you to go beneath the surface to see and discover things for yourself. Go past the memes and the talking points and all that other stuff. And so we are here to give you the facts as we know them, okay? We try not to, I mean, we offer our opinion a little bit, but we try to have it go from a factual basis as much as possible. Like, what are facts, right? Alternative facts?
Alternative facts.
Okay, whatever. So anyway, in this edition, and hello to you guys on Facebook. We are actually on Donovan's Facebook today. We are going to get into it and talk about Mr. Andrew Yang. I want to call him Andrew Young for some reason, but Andrew Yang. He is running for president on the Democrat ticket. In 2020, he is an Asian American, Taiwanese to be exact. He is 44 years old. He grew up in Schenectady, New York. He is an entrepreneur and has a company called Venture for America. It is a startup company for young people and people coming out of college to help them start up their entrepreneurial adventures or whatever the case is. And so that's what he does. It seems like it's pretty successful. He also worked for the Obama administration. And he did some, I guess this thing was kind of like born out of what he did for the Obama administration. In 2011, this company came up. And so he has like 76 policies so far, he says, because there's more that he wants to enact if he's president. Now, as of today, he just qualified to be on the Democratic debate stage in June. So he, as of not like a couple hours ago, he's done that. And he said last month, in a matter of, I think, 2 weeks or something like that, I could be wrong, but they raised $600,000. And he is the first Asian American to run for president of the United States. Okay, so what are some of the things that he wants to do? Now, the major thing, and I'll just get to this one up front. So, no, he's not necessarily for reparations. Go ahead and clutch your pearls. He's not for reparations necessarily, but he's not against it either. However, one of the biggest things that he has, look at his comments.
I said.
One of the biggest things that he has is called UBI, Universal Basic Income. So you ask me, what is that, right? Universal Basic Income is also called like a freedom, what is it called? A freedom dividend, in that every American 18 and over will get $1,000 a month tax-free to do whatever they want to do with it. I'm scared to even know what they said. But
well, my friend John says, this is better. She's better looking than you.
Oh, no. Okay, so basically every American will get $1,000 to do what they want, whether it's tax-free. And his argument is that a lot of people need that money, not necessarily to go just blow it, but to survive, because he says, which is true, 78% of Americans are living check to check. What would $1,000 do for them? That would give them a cushion. Also, 59% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. So if something came up, they needed some new tires, or a roof was leaking, it cost $500. Right. 59% of Americans cannot afford to take care of that without perhaps going into debt as far as getting loans and things like that.
Wow.
So the $1,000 would alleviate that. We talked about this a little bit on the show Sunday, but I see it another way too. Is as far as like there's a lot of people, let's say stay-at-home moms. There's not a lot of stay-at-home moms like there used to be, because a lot of them are probably out there making part-time $1,000 a month. So imagine if they were to have that $1,000, they could stay home. What happens when moms stay home with the kids? The kids are better off. They're smarter. They feel more secure. They all that. So I mean, there's a whole host of things this $1,000 would do. I know for me, it would allow me to be, you know, have a little bit of financial freedom and be stress-free of some of the things that I have going on. Now, he also believes in a trickle-up economy.
Okay.
In that if you give this $1,000 to people, you know, there's a lot of people need it, then the money will trickle up because it will go back into the economy. I mean, a lot of people, they might save it, but a lot of people are going to spend it.
Right.
Not necessarily on Jordans or things like that. They might spend it to help, you know, pay off some debt. Or they might, hey, listen, we haven't, as a family, been to Disneyland in 10 years. Now we can go to Disneyland and do some of the fun stuff. So he believes in the trickle-up economy. Like we've been hearing, we talked about it last time, the trickle-down economy, where the wealthy are supposed to make all this money and it's supposed to trickle down to the poor. Well, how long have we been waiting on that?
About 40, 60 years. Yeah.
Right. So his is the trickle-up economy. All right. And feel free to jump in if you have any questions. Sure.
Doesn't Kamala have something similar to that?
Yes, hers is $500. I like 1,000 better. Yeah, all that other nonsense she got. She's just now for reparations, but at first she wasn't for reparations.
Well, she isn't really. She's just saying.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, you know, now she's kind of like, okay, sounds good. Whatever's going to get me on a ticket, right?
Because once they get in the office, oh well, I didn't get around to it.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, and so what else do we have here now? I just, you know, took some of his talking points. This to me, not to me personally, but to a lot of people, this is huge. He wants to pay NCAA athletes, you know, a stipend. Because to his point, he says, you know, not necessarily in regards to the freedom dividend, but a lot of those athletes are starving. You know, and then he says they have their likenesses everywhere on video games, and you know, Nike. Everybody's just making money off of these
wait
kids.
A minute, though. But aren't they there getting a free education based on their scholarship?
Yeah, but I mean, come on now. They're traveling, and I mean, the coaches are making upwards of $1 million.
Way more than that.
And these kids, you know, God forbid somebody buys them a dinner, they're in trouble.
Yeah, you're getting a free education.
I need to eat too. And so you think about it too, just like for the NCAA thing, a lot of these kids do come from underprivileged neighborhoods. And so
once again, exploited children.
Right. And if you guys have been following the news today, you saw that a story broke where 50 people have been charged and a lot of them have been arrested, some of them being movie stars, because they were bribing these high-end universities, USC, UCLA, Yale, and a couple other ones, to get their kids into school, having them get around the SAT, just a whole bunch of nonsense, just to, you know, cheat to get their kids in.
Is that new?
It's not new, but these people are like busted, right? And so the NCAA is also implemented in that. So then here you got one end of the scale. You have wealthy people cheating to get their kids in, but then when Ray, who is very talented at, let's say, basketball, gets in, and one of those people come to him and say, hey, man, you know, if you promise to come here, whatever, you know, we're going to give you some money. Mama's at home, probably working 2 or 3 jobs. You got your little siblings. They eating top ramen every night. Whoever's giving you something, how am I going to say no?
Or that booster comes in and says, hey.
Right. So if I'm getting paid, then I can be a little bit more honest and operate in a little bit more integrity if I'm getting a stipend or paid. I mean, hell, Nike is making how much off of these kids? Millions. I mean, we saw in the playoffs, the guy
shoe
busted, and Nike's worried because now they might lose money or may lose him because maybe he's going to get picked up by another shoe company.
Well, the thing is, the kid's career might be over depending on the break that he suffered.
But he's not making any money. He's like President Obama, if that means anything to you guys. He's sitting at the game. This is how big the game was, and the kid who is the star is not making a dime.
Right.
So he's wanting to pay, he, being Andrew Yang, wants to pay the athletes that are operating under the NCAA system. Okay, another thing, this is huge, he wants to get rid of student loans. Because
So free education.
Free education to get rid of student loans, because he talked about, as of recently, He had $100,000 in debt just for law school, and he said he made a joke saying, let me go ahead and pay my mistress this month, Sally Mae, because he said, I never met her,
Right.
but I'm giving her money every
Every
month
month.
for just to go get an education. So he wants to get rid of student loans. He also, and this is will resonate with a lot of people, get rid of robocalls.
They've been trying to do that, and they seem to
And
find
that's
a
what
way
he
around
said.
it.
And that's what he said. He says at first, okay, whatever, but he says,
The don't call list, remember that?
yeah, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
I mean, my phone's rang like 4 or 5
Right.
times, and each time I looked at the number, I'm like, that's a robocall.
Right. Well,
You know?
mine just rang, and it was Mom. Sorry, Mom, I'm on the air.
That's because of that, that comment you made about
The failed-
baby boomers.
Yeah, the failed.
Right. And
thing.
so, and then whenever you have some comments, just go ahead and
Yeah.
jump in.
Mhm.
All right. And so then he wants to also revamp the Social Security system. As you know, a lot of people who are elders, to his point, which is true, I worked at Walmart 20-something years
Uncle
ago,
Dudley. Mhm.
where you saw, who did you see as people greeters? The older people.
Right.
He says we need to get away from the system of seeing our older people working at convenience stores just to supplement their income. He says they paid their, if you will, debt to society. Most of them have worked, but they can't afford to just live. Like when I get 70, I don't want to be like, oh, well, let me drink my morning coffee, go down to 7-Eleven.
Wait, don't you do that already?
I sound like a man in the morning, but
Sorry, I'm just saying. Yeah.
I might sound like a dude in the morning. But the point that I'm making is, he's
Right.
like, let's change this.
Okay.
You know, he says it's also a myth that, oh, Social Security is going to be bankrupt. Oh, we don't have the
myth,
money.
right.
He says we have the money. It's just, that's what they put out there to get everybody scared to death. Okay, and then we get to keep raising the Social Security, the retirement age to death. You know, do you want to work until you're 70-something?
Most people, you've been
They have
conditioned
no
to do
choice.
it. Yeah, you've been conditioned to do it.
Right. And so,
Stop buying the Mercedes. Stop buying what you
oh,
can't
no,
afford.
I need my Mercedes now.
Right. You know, you got to stop doing that.
Right.
Live within your means.
Another thing he wants to do is put a psychologist in the White House. It's funny,
Yes, I
but
know.
if you listen to his reasoning, he said he wants to put a psychologist in the White House because those people are at the helm of making very big decisions. And we know with, President Trump, he ain't all the way there.
No, I'm the best negotiator. I'm the best. Nobody
Okay.
can. Korea, you can have everything you want. What do we get out of it? Nothing.
Dr. Phil says that's a lie, okay? So if you had a psychologist in the White House, they said that he said, and it would be mandatory for everybody who's in the decision-making process in the White House, mandatory for them to talk to the psychologist whether they want to or not.
Okay.
Because I need to make sure you're right. He says the psychologist will also report out, okay, Senator
But-
such and such is struggling with some things right now.
But okay, I'm gonna have to disagree with that because
Okay.
don't we have people that are put in the White House that become politicized? You've got people. This man is in the White House right now doing crimes, and people know he's doing the crimes, and yet they're there to be stopgap measured people.
Right.
They're not reporting anything. They're keeping silent. They're covering for him. So if you put a psychologist in there, what difference would it make?
Well,
Because guess what? You're my psychologist. You're gonna do what
yeah,
I
but
say.
I think and I'm not for sure, so don't quote me. His standpoint will be obviously they're not connected. Now, eventually, we know they get
It
connected.
all connected.
But to
It's all
me,
connected.
it makes sense because, doesn't the president have to have an annual checkup?
He does.
So why not have a mental
And
checkup?
remember that guy? Oh, the president. He's so orange that it's going to be great. The orange in his skin is going to make him live longer. And
Is that what he said?
Yeah. The guy was saying some crazy stuff.
Is it orange, like really orange, like vitamin C, or is it like
Deficient or something. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is,
he's like that picture I sent you of the
yeah, all these people that are already sitting there to stopgap. You have the people that are there to do that, to give him wise counsel, to do all these things, and yet they see this man doing crimes.
you know
and
what?
They do nothing
I
about
honestly
it.
don't have a problem with the psychologist thing. I think there should be somebody in there to do some mental checks and balances because we know there's a lot of sick people
Okay,
in the warehouse.
hypothetically. Okay,
Or everywhere around.
let's say that the president is sick. We do have an amendment that could remove the president
Right.
based on the 25th, whatever
Mhm.
whatever it was, to do that. He feels that the president is cuckoo. Now what?
Then,
How do you remove him?
well, I don't know that part of it, but I would imagine if it was me, you take the findings to whoever can remove them. Was it Congress?
Congress.
They can remove them. Okay, this dude is talking about some
But-
real weird stuff up
wait.
in here.
I'm the Senate. Trump is crazy. even if they impeach him now, Democrat, he's not going to go anywhere. So
Well-
what point is it going to be?
Well, who knows? I mean, maybe he has some measures in place that will do that. Because I agree, there's a lot of people who just say stuff. But if you ever watch this dude, I mean, he's like, you're not going to get you with him like a got you thing. All right? So the psychologist in the White House.
Okay.
All right. Another thing he wants to do, he wants to promote vocational schools over college. Because there is this, well, think about it. Now, think about it now. Think about it. How many people have college degrees and are not working in that field?
I agree with that. How about putting
Wait.
vocational back into high school?
Okay, right. He talks about that too because he says 6% of what did he say? 6% of American students. Where's my other notes? I wrote it down because I want to get this right. 6% of Look, I took a whole bunch of notes when I was listening. I guess they can get vocational training, but overseas it's over 50%. We know when we were coming up, we had a whole lot of vocational stuff we can do. I mean, there was home ec, there was wood shop, there was auto, there was welding. There's a whole host of things, and they don't have those things anymore.
Right.
And so, and I get it because I listen to you a lot. I mean, Donovan, you built your whole house damn near by yourself.
Right, rebuilt it.
From the ground. I mean, like literally, Donovan has built his house from the ground up. And you
Upgraded
often, well, I mean, roofing and all that, side paneling. I mean, who does that? You ripped out the kitchen. I mean, come on, you did a little bit more than to put some nails in the shit, okay?
I did.
But you often lament how men and boys don't even know how to do that stuff anymore. Like, where did you learn to do it from? I mean, I know you spent a lot of time in the military.
Yeah, the military
but
taught
I'm
me a
sure
lot,
you
but
knew a lot of
my
that.
mom kicked a lot of ass to
Right.
say be a man.
Did you get some of that from school?
I did.
Right. So here we have a lot of people. I mean, it talks about this too. Carter G. Woodson in Miseducation of Negro talked about how, especially in our community, we go off and get these big time stellar degrees in psychology and philosophy, but it's like we can't come back and use that. However, we still have people who need their houses cleaned, the laundry done, the cars fixed, their masonry. So we need those things, but people being the kids that are seeking education aren't getting that knowledge.
Right.
And so there's a lot of people, me being one of them, who I have 2 degrees, but there's a lot of vocational stuff I have been trained to do because, you know, I just need, like, I'm one of those people like multiple streams of income. So I use my degrees for that, like, what do you call it? Intellectual pay, but then I can do some other stuff too. Trust me. That's legal.
Yeah,
But-
I'm about to go there.
So I like the whole vocational thing.
Sure.
You know, we
like I
need
said,
that.
put it back into the school.
I mean, how is it that people who are electricians are making 2 and sometimes 3 times more than a person with a degree?
A plumber, how much do they make? Just showing up to your house here in California, a plumber, that's a $75 bill just for him to ring your doorbell.
Exactly. And so there's people with degrees ain't making that in a day some places.
And
because
they won't.
Right.
And they won't. And the sad thing, we talk about this all the time. You know, our nephews, our nieces, whatever, like, they sit and play PlayStation all day and they can't do anything. They have a degree, but they have no skills.
Or what about if you plan the PlayStation and breaks down and you know how to fix it?
Right.
You know, they don't need, Mommy, I need another one.
Yeah, because you saw the computers I have in the room that I tore apart.
Yeah.
I still have Windows 98, XP, Windows 7. I mean, I keep all the systems.
So you mean you just should throw it away and go get a new one?
Because I have games on those, so I have to keep
You
that
have
system.
games and you got game because you know how to fix
Fix it,
those
right.
things. You know. Okay, so vocational, and that's you're
I
not
kind
saying.
of like what this guy's
Yeah,
got
but
so
he's not
far.
saying don't go to college. But he was like, come on, there's things we still need.
Okay.
So let me know if we have some comments.
Yeah, we need to remember that, this is from Shantae, we need to remember that everyone isn't built for college. We need plumbers, electricians, we need people to get into trade vocations. And, you know, and I'm glad Tay said that because she had a new couch delivered. The only thing Tay needed me to do was help her get it up the stairs.
Right.
Because once we got there, she had her toolbox and stuff, and she was ready to go. You know, I mean, I stayed and helped whenever I could.
Yeah, but I mean, so people need them. That's just a fact. We need those things. I mean, there's a lot of jobs that you can't get with a degree.
Right.
But can you wire, fix, nail, glue? What about this engine? Or can you do any of that? No, but I have a master's in public
Yeah,
relations.
I mean, how many of you guys get tired of, you know, you might be keeping up your yard and your stuff, but you look to the left of you, and you look to the right of you, your neighbors, it looks like hell in a handbasket.
Because for one, that ain't who they raise. When I say that's not who they raise, you got a lot of men out there with sons, and this is shut up, D. But let me continue my point. You got a lot of men out there with sons who won't teach their sons, and yes, I said sons because I know somebody will say, "Oh, that's sexist." How to mow the grass, how to take care of it. And I tell you, at 47, almost 48 years old, every 2 weeks, I'm gonna take from the military spending. I mean, you're a military guy. You know damn well we don't need all the money they're allocating toward the military.
No. A good third of the military budget that's given every year it goes to R&D, which is research and development. So basically, you're giving money to the Boeing manufacturers and Lockheed and all these manufacturers to research and develop things that might not work.
Right, might not work.
Right. You're basically paying them to come up with something so they can charge us to buy it from them.
Right, but you have people who are struggling every day, and that's just the fact. The way we're going now with 99% versus the 1%, they just keep getting richer. They keep enacting laws and taxes, all kind of stuff to continue putting more money in their pocket. And we're going to get back to the, the Communist Manifesto with Karl Marx and Fred Engels. They talked about eventually we're going to get to the point where we have the uber rich and the poor. There's not even really a middle class anymore.
Well, let's look at the French Revolution. What was that about? Same thing.
Right. So we're there already. So eventually, do we want to fix it now, or do we want to have virtual mayhem in the streets because people are like, I'm tired of starving. You have all the money and stuff on this side. I'm coming to get it. Because we're going to get to that point.
5% of all the wealth is controlled by 5% of the wealth in the United States is controlled by this small group of families.
Walmart.
Yeah.
You know, the heirs got all the damn money, but you know, you go in there. Listen, I'll tell you guys a true story about Walmart. I told you guys I worked there about 25 years ago. And I actually helped start a Walmart when they first built them, put everything in there. So I was working with a lady there. I went there the other day.
She's still there?
She's still there. And do you know how much money this lady making?
How much?
Just take a guess.
$18.
$14.25.
Oh, wow.
And she's been there. That store opened up in 1993.
Okay.
She's making $14.25 an hour. And then she told me, and guess how much raise I just got after 5 years? 29 cents.
Wow. And she has that big thing that says, 25 or 30, like nameplate.
That ain't gonna pay no light bill for me. But the point that I'm making is she's just getting drops in the bucket of a raise all these years.
While the executives get big, the Walton family, they said they got $17 billion in compensation. I mean, they don't.
Walmart, whether a lot of people realize it or not, are one of the biggest benefactors in retail of welfare. Most of their employees cannot afford to live
food
just
stamps.
on what they get paid. Yeah, they get food stamps, Medi-Cal, in some cases cash aid.
And a lot of them are full-time employees.
Right, which she is.
Right.
So, and I asked her, so gosh, because she's a lot older than me. I said, are you going to retire? She says, I can't. Me and her husband, who is a manager of a Walmart too, we just bought a house. It's $330,000, but we can't afford to retire.
And a lot of people don't know this. Walmart puts insurance on their employees and the employees' loved ones in a chance that, like, some of them are with their lifestyles that are smoking and sick, and they make money off of that as well.
That's a hustle.
Well, it's not a hustle. It's
macabre. But it is macabre.
It's
But it is called key employee or key people, key person insurance. A lot of those people aren't the key people necessarily, like a manager or something. But why not?
Shantae says, "Woohoo, $14.25," and then she says, "Walmart and Disneyland."
Right. So you're right. These people making all this money, but you got the employees. And so imagine what $1,000 would do. My friend, for example, who works at Walmart and can't retire. I mean, you do the math on $14.25 an hour. I mean, I'm sure that's probably what, $2,000 a month after taxes, give or take.
Yeah, maybe.
Hell, that's maybe her mortgage, part of her mortgage payment. Maybe she could come home finally.
Yeah, but you got to remember that's not the game. We have to make classes and keep people at the bottom, which is the black people. And
black people and poor people, which that's a lot of us.
Us, right.
So another thing that he wants to do, now a lot of people are like, oh, malls, so what, malls? We have a lot of ghost malls.
Ghost malls now.
Go to San Bernardino.
Go to Moreno Valley.
Moreno Valley is ghost malls, not maybe necessarily like the big malls, but there are some, you walk into a mall, if it's not Christmas time, it's like crickets in there. And then a lot of these other like little, what do you call those malls?
Outlet malls.
The outlet malls and the little ones that you kind of have around the corner. A lot of those, They're ghost towns, and so he has an initiative that will give funding to entrepreneurs who have something creative to do with it. Maybe make it into some sort of a living situation for someone. Or he says a lot of them, which you got 2 of them over there, churches. A lot of these people are just building churches and that kind of stuff. So he says we have funding for people who want to do something
and churches
creative.
don't pay taxes, which kind of hurts the community.
Right. Well, and not everybody wants to open a church, but just because he said that's what they're doing now. You see a lot
in
of
poor
churches.
neighborhoods, there's a lot of churches. In
Right.
poor
Well, that's what
neighborhoods.
people do because people. And when you're poor, you need something to believe in, and you're gonna believe in Jesus, and you believe if I sow a seed of faith, then I'm gonna get some. You know,
Right.
all
While the
that.
pastor rides around that
Right.
classic car.
I mean,
and
the mall, the strip malls. What I'm thinking. Up the street from your house, there's 2 churches next door
Right
to
next
each
to
other.
each other.
Like they don't even need a band; they can just share because
But
you can
they
hear.
won't.
I mean, I'm saying you can hear it through the walls, you know. But so he says because when you have these ghost malls, it spreads blight to
Yes.
the neighborhoods and the property values and
It
stuff
attracts
go down.
homeless people and-
So right, so if you spur the economy that way and give those entities something to do, then that also it helps the economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, for you guys that are listening real quick, quick announcement. Do not follow this guy, Andrew Yang, because he is talking some good stuff. We don't want that to be out there. It makes sense. It's giving you guys hope. Do not look up Andrew Yang.
Well,
please.
and you know, and again, I just want to say this again. He's not for reparations per se, but he is very cognizant. Like, you know what? How close we are to getting reparations? Are we going to get reparations
No.
this time around?
No.
I don't want to say no, but I ain't going to say yes.
Yeah, someone,
okay?
Shante says someone wanted to turn abandoned malls into homeless shelters. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was saying stuff like that. So whoever, he said there's funding for people who have creative ideas to do that with. Can you imagine, Tay, with all of the strip malls that are vacant, if we made those homeless shelters?
Okay, I have one question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Okay. He wants to, and that's a good idea, turn it into homeless shelters.
Mhm.
Fine, whatever, liability, whatever. Isn't it crazy? Remember a few years ago when the housing market went down and the banks were bulldozing brand new homes rather than upkeeping
Right.
them or donating them or, to homeless families
Right.
or whatever? I mean, why do we let the banks do that, but yet the tax burden falls on us?
Because when you help poor people, they might become rich. And
right.
then you don't have that dependency on you.
Right.
Just, to Joe's point,
them a hand up.
yeah, the welfare system is just that. It's crack for people, for lack of better words. We keep you dependent. We don't ever want you to believe you can too, because there's, like, especially for the Democratic Party, it's helpful for them to hand out welfare because we'll always have
By
a
your
voter.
loyalty. By
Yeah.
your loyalty.
Well,
By
and
your
then
loyalty.
the Republicans, they don't want you to have this, they don't want you to have that, and so it's like, gosh, we've heard this a lot. I've even spewed when I wasn't as awake as I am now. The Democratic Party is for the people. They
It's
help
not.
people, but if you really take a moment to think about it, do they really help people, or are they keeping people lullabied?
And they only help certain people, like your Uncle Tom Claiborne and people like that. I mean, it's just only certain people. Auntie Maxine, how are you a public worker and you're a millionaire? How does that happen?
Well, we know how that happened.
But
But she had to depend on those democracy dollars. That wouldn't
It wouldn't be happening.
It wouldn't be happening,
We
and
had
they
to
would
stop
actually
lobbying.
do the work.
Mhm, mhm.
So, what else do I have here?
So
So that
Andrew Yang, huh?
yeah. So there's a lot of talking
is
points.
there a
but,
website where we can? go and
I'm
find
sure
it?
it's probably Andrew
Well,
Yang 2020.
Google
something.
Andrew Yang 2020 or Andrew
There's a
Yang
whole
himself.
host of stuff on YouTube. And listen, I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for, but somebody took us to task. You guys don't talk about other people. Like, okay, well, we're going to start talking about, you talk about Tulsi Gabbard, I'm
Tulsi
talking about
Gabbard.
Andrew Yang, which I'll be honest with you guys, I like Andrew Yang. I like what he's talking about.
I'm going to research him.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some ideas in there that I noticed that Kamala tried to jump on, and she tries to steal that, her and Corey. This is where we're going now.
Right.
People are just at a point to where the old way of doing things is not working. We need something new.
Right.
And Shante says, Dems are only for poor black people. It's the continuation of a caste system in America. Exactly.
That's all it is. So
there has to be somebody
Right.
at the bottom, and it's going to be us.
God forbid I really empower you. Because,
Yes.
we were told welfare is to empower you, is to help you, give you a leg up. I mean, how am I going to get a leg up if you give me, what is welfare? And I don't know, $500?
Well,
what can I do with that?
Well, the thing is, what happened to saying, okay, let's say this is the start of welfare back in the 60s. Okay, we're going to give you guys welfare, but you only get it for the first 5 years. After that, you're on your own.
I
Wouldn't
mean,
that incentivize you to say, okay, I've got to get better and and after that you're done.
Well, from what I understand too, with welfare, you're supposed to be doing some things. But I always say this because I've known people, you guys, who've been on welfare for 25 years. Now you say,
I told you
how's that
stop
possible?
talking about my people.
I ain't talking about your people now.
I told you that in confidence.
But I'm saying, so some people say, well, that's ridiculous. How can it be on welfare for 25 years?
Keep
Well,
having babies. Keep having babies.
Right, whether it's housing, food stamps, whatever the case is. And
Hey,
so,
I'll give you a free house if you get rid of your man in the house. And wait, you're having problems with your mom. Your mom is beating you and stuff. And just get pregnant. We'll give you a voucher. You can get your own home.
but let me ask you this. How long does it take to get a degree on average?
A 2-year degree.
Yeah.
You can do that in 18 months.
Okay, and if you really, like, if you're a stay-at-home mom or whatever,
We're talking about no break, summer all the way through.
Right,
18
okay, but
months.
let's think about the things that they get used to. I don't know. The things that people on welfare get. They get housing, they get food, they get medical coverage, and they have incentives. If you go to school, we'll pay for your daycare.
That's
even
what I
if
don't
you go
understand.
to work. Well, even you don't have to pay for books because you have the bond waiver, and then you get tuition.
Right.
And all this shit is free, but yet. So to me, I don't blame the recipients. I blame the system. But we know the system, to Tay's point, is there by design. We don't want people to be upwardly mobile.
Right. Tay says, like, her aunt, I'm sorry to hear that, died on welfare. She was on the welfare for decades. And unfortunately, in our community, a lot of people are in that same position as
Right.
your aunt. And it's just one of those things. But we're
It's a way of
waking
life.
up. But that's what I'm saying, the generation of fail. We are waking up because since they skipped over our generation in leadership and everything else. And it was the funniest thing, a quick story. Me and this person, Generation Fail, got in this big argument. And he was saying, blah, 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 blah. He goes, these millennials, they don't understand what socialism is, whatever it is. And I looked at him and I said, well, how would they? I said, if I'm the parent and I tell this kid no, what is he going to do? He's running to grandma and grandpa who say yes. They don't know what it is not to have a no. They're going to get whatever they think everything's entitled because you guys are bailing them out. And I said, since you skipped over our generation in leadership, now the millennials are coming into their own, though you got your AOCs and people that are coming in there. They're like, why not? Why not have this? And now, it's like our NAACP. Why is the NAACP and the Urban League and all these black organizations are so ineffective? Because you did not bring in the younger next generation to take over leadership.
Right. Well, I mean, to our point earlier, I mean, a lot of these people are just dying in the seats.
From my cold
Yeah.
dead hand.
I'm good, young Junior Flip. I know what I'm doing. You sit back.
Right.
It's like, but yeah, I mean, I don't care what it is.
Do you think Malcolm X would still be in leadership if he was alive today? Do you think some of the Black Panthers would still be like, yes, I'm still running it?
Well, I think it was their aim. But I know it was their aim to teach people and to raise future leaders, as it was with Marcus Garvey. That was his goal. He would always say, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. Now, you don't tell people that if you're not trying to show them how. I mean, you see the same thing in South Africa. They're having the same issue.
Yeah, right now.
With
Absolutely.
the ANC and the EFF. The EFF was like, you know what, y'all been doing this for 30 years
now.
wrong,
And
we're
we're
still here. We don't want to be like America, where it's been 60 plus years and the same things have been done and
only a
said.
few of you guys are enriching yourselves.
Right.
The leadership keeps enriching itself.
Right. So that's what I have, you guys. Andrew Yang, you might want to
Andrew
check
Yang.
him out. And one thing I do like about Andrew is, like we said too, no shade to your girl Tulsi.
Sure.
I got to do my research on her, but he's not getting up there saying, "Well, let me look into it."
Right. Or what do they call it? Word fruit salad.
Right, word salad.
What's that?
And he's he always refers to himself as a numbers guy. He does the numbers, economists, and all this other stuff. So he says he looks at numbers in relation to where we've been, where we're going, or where, all that kind of stuff. So he says, to me, it has to make sense numerically, and we know that numbers don't lie.
Right. Universally, numbers are the only pure form of an answer.
Right. Unless you don't know how to do math like me, I believe anything you tell me.
Tay says, we need to revamp the system so welfare isn't a crutch, but a step up. We need to give those who use the system the tools to move upward and to not remain stagnant. Number one, they don't want to do that because then we would get off the bottom.
Right.
And then she says, that's the thing. We need to force the old people to step down and let the younger folks come in and make the necessary changes to the system. But see, they've waited so long to where now, I don't think there's going to be an NAACP in the next 20 years.
Right. Well, I mean, just in any way, you figure too, like with the
People are
millennials,
just done.
especially the millennials, they're disenfranchised and they know they're disenfranchised, and so they're like, you know what, next. I mean, half of them don't even want to work a 9 to 5, which I don't blame them. You know, me and my younger brother talk about this all the time. How much time we got? About how the millennials, they just work a couple of months, you know.
And then go to the next thing.
Or, yeah, go hang out for a little bit. Like, okay, let me go to work this gig for 2 or 3 months.
I got a bill coming up.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't want to do what they're doing, die on the seat, 70 years old at the county building, being a crotchety old person talking to people.
Yeah, because somebody asked me, you know, if I was in leadership, I'd probably still be doing the same thing they are. I said, no, I wouldn't. It's just like when I ran for office. Once I ran twice, I was forced to run the second time because it was a special election. No, I just wanted to, you know, hit my points, and then I'm gone.
And go be effective somewhere else.
And do what I got to do. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening. This has been Don't Believe the Hype, Donovan and Sadiq. Dimitra K. Check Dimitra K out on Sundays, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. She is on Facebook Live. Working the kinks out of this system, but I like this section that we have going on. Listen and look up Tulsi Gabbard, and I hope they give Andrew Yang a town hall on CNN.
They're gonna have a choice now.
Yeah,
because he's picking up a lot of steam.
So you guys just check it out. Andrew Yang, good programs. You guys got any comments, questions? Hit us up, and we're gonna take a look at it and give you guys some answers. But we're gonna check you guys again out next week. Go to YouTube, look for the video, the green screen, it'll all be behind us. Everything will be good to go. We'll see you guys again next week.
Peace.
Let's get a sense that you have of what you want this country to be. The Washington Examiner, in an interview with them, you said, we need to become both capitalist and socialist in different areas.
Yes.
What do you mean? You can't be both.
Well, so I like to quote my friend Eric Weinstein, who said, we never knew that capitalism was going to get eaten by its son, technology. And here in the 21st century, a lot of the economic rules we take for granted have stopped applying. You can build a very successful, profitable company that does not employ many people. And if it does employ people, you don't have to treat them well. You can make them all independent contractors and gig workers. So the things we take for granted have broken down, and we have to start solving this problem by evolving our entire system.
So what is it that made you run for this? I mean, you're a young dad besides. And you discussed this with your family. What was their reaction?
Well, you know, I was talking to my wife about this just the other day in the car, when she was like, "What? How did that conversation go?" But as you suggest, I'm a father. I've got 2 young children, and I'm running because I want to keep this country strong and whole for them. I mean, I'm the son of immigrants. Yeah. My family benefited tremendously from the fact that I was lucky enough to be born here, and I want to feel the exact same way about my sons.
So were you inspired by Donald Trump getting elected, and that changed the dynamics?
Well, it certainly showed what was possible. But as I said at the opening, I believe that the reason why Donald Trump is our president is that there have been these fundamental economic changes that have displaced many manufacturing workers,
and they were his
retail
core base.
workers. Yes, and the Democratic Party, for whatever reason, is not trying to address those problems. They're attacking Trump himself or the symptoms, but the disease is this pervasive economic insecurity as we make it harder and harder for Americans to find meaningful opportunities.
So you need to get a seat at one of these debates. You need 1% or to poll 1%. That's 65,000 individual donors. You're already at both, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to be on the debate stage in June and July. The DNC has already reached out to my team.
Is that right? So you're already there.
Yeah, they were so, so they're very, very open this time, where they want everyone to know that they're not going to put their thumb on the scale.
And I've done a few of these debates myself for both networks, and there's the so-called kids table. If you're not with the major league
the
guys,
JV, I remember, and the Republicans.
Is it tough to break through that, because the structure is such that it's very tough?
The DNC, Neil, I'm happy to say, they've actually said they're going to avoid the entire varsity JV dynamic.
Put you all up there together?
What they're doing is they're splitting it into 2 nights.
Oh, okay.
And then they're randomly selecting who goes where. So as long as you make the threshold, then you're treated on an equal footing. And because they're trying to make it totally fair for each candidate.
Joe Biden is sort of like the elephant in the room. Do you think he is for the Democratic Party?
Well, I look at the same polls you do, and certainly there are a lot of people that are very enthusiastic about Joe. And I've had the attitude towards Joe and everyone else, which is the more candidates that run, first, the better it is for a candidate like me, because in a fragmented field, you can do better with like a smaller percentage. But I'm also running to try and advance meaningful solutions and improve the lives of working Americans around the country. And to me, if other Democrats started adopting my platform, that would be a tremendous win.
All of you right now have expensive platforms. A lot of spending in there, Medicare for all, as you said, checks for all. And a lot of people will scrutinize how you pay for it. And you talk about a value-added tax. But in the end, tell me how you're different than your other big spending colleagues.
Well, I've been a CEO and business person. I met payroll many, many times. I believe that small businesses are the backbone of this economy. But we have to face facts, where a generation or two ago, maybe someone would have started a hardware store in their main street. But now with Amazon sucking up $20 billion of commerce every year, 30% of Main Street stores are closing in the next 4 years. 30% of malls are closing in the next 4 years. And being a retail worker is the most common job in the economy. So we have to start facing facts. And the entire socialism-capitalism dichotomy, again, is out of date and is breaking down. We have to try and take the best of both worlds and build an economy that centers around how people are doing. Take the markets and have them allocate resources in ways that would actually help families in Main Street America. You
speak a Main Street theme, but you're also educated at Brown. You went to Columbia Law. You're smart as a lick. But some will just go back and say, you know, the guy's just an elitist.
Well, you know, I just spent time with a trucker in Altoona, Iowa, and I rode around in his truck to see what his day-to-day life was. And I wrote a book, The War on Normal People, that breaks down what's going on in main streets around the country. I spent 6 years working in Birmingham and Detroit and Cleveland. And so showing up in these communities, I just wanted to help. And I've developed a real passion for helping the little guy or gal. I grew up the only Asian kid, like a skinny Asian kid who'd skipped a grade. And so I always felt like I had a thing for the underdog. You know, I'm still a Mets fan to this day, as an example.
Well, that's your problem.
Yeah, I know. It has been a problem. But who's the underdog now in America? It's the Main Street American worker who's getting shoved to the side, and we're just not confronting it honestly.
We'll watch you very closely. Andrew Yang, very good having you, Democratic presidential candidate. He took a look around what was going on in the country, said, you know what? I'm going to do that. It's not an easy process.